There's no need to repeat grim statistics. The police officer knows his chances for survival have narrowed. To defeat these increasing odds, it is up to the individual officer and his department to prepare. Prepare literally for survival.
1 Adam, silent alarm, bank of A Levy, 5th and A Adam. Unit 2 Adam and 3 Adam, backup 1 Adam.
1 Adam, 10-4.
The approach is critical. Now, training and experience will tell. This officer is dead. Why? Very simply, he wasn't prepared. Let's take it back to when the officer received the call and see what he could have done and survived.
Silent alarm, bank of A Levy, 5th and A Adam.
1 Adam. ETA is about 1 minute. Requesting location of backup.
10-4, 1 Adam. Units 2 Adam and 3 Adam backup. 2 Adam approaching from the east on B Street. 3 Adam from the south on Oxnard Boulevard. ETA approximately 3 minutes.
Notice the officer does not rush in blindly. He takes a position where he can observe the scene in relative safety. From this vantage point, he can analyze the situation and determine the best apprehension procedure. He observes a possible lookout standing near the door and a possible getaway car with a driver, plus he notes the number of pedestrians, which makes an immediate confrontation most hazardous. The officer knows he must make a cautious approach. A gunfight on the street is out of the question. The officer immediately notifies communications of his exact location, description of suspects, their vehicle, and what direction they are headed. The officer makes a wise decision. He allows the suspects to leave the bank. The safety of the people is his prime concern at this point. All units have been notified by the dispatcher, and the officer follows the suspects. He keeps a safe and discreet distance while reporting speed and direction. He has a difficult decision to make. Where does he make the stop? He must take into consideration a list of factors such as time of day, location of backup units, geographical area, population density, lighting, traffic, and the possibility of having to go in pursuit. He cannot wait too long. The backup units are in constant touch with communications. Once they've received instructions from 1A, they proceed to close in. The officer must be prepared in advance for immediate action prior to the stop. He releases his shotgun, places the public address mic on the floorboard, and has the radio mic on the seat. The location for the stop has been selected by 1A and communications notified. He uses the red lights and siren at the right time. In close, it surprises and gives the officer a psychological edge. Unable to react, the suspects stop. Note the position and angle of the police vehicle. Once the officer is in position, he takes total command of the situation. His physical advantage is his placement behind the door with the engine block between him and the suspect's vehicle. From this vantage position, he can take offensive action if necessary, yet is as protected as possible. He commands them to place their hands, palms up, on the dash. Suspects in the rear, hands on the back of the front seat. Driver very slowly turns off the engine and drops the keys out the window. The officer should not attempt the arrest alone. As the backup units arrive, they will work as a well-trained team, with a second officer automatically covering the arresting officer. When the backup officer is in position, the suspects are ordered from their vehicle by the arresting officer. All suspects should be ordered to exit from the same side of the vehicle, allowing for the best observation and minimize escape opportunities. The arresting officer instructs the suspects out in this specific order. First, the man in the right front or passenger side. Backup officer has a clear field of fire using the trunk of Unit 1A as cover. The driver is ordered out and assumes the same positioning to the left of the first suspect. It is important to get the driver out quickly, since there is always the possibility that he might have a second set of keys. The arresting officer commands the suspect to sink to his knees and then assume a prone position. Now the suspect in the right rear is instructed to follow suit. He is told to face left. This way, the suspects cannot see one another as they are handcuffed. The arresting officer verbally controls the suspects. The last man to be removed is the suspect sitting in the left rear. The arresting officer checks the suspect vehicle carefully to ensure additional suspects might be hidden from view. The vehicle will be thoroughly searched after the suspects are handcuffed. Sufficient assistance has arrived to allow movement. The arresting officer takes the handcuffs from the first backup officer and moves into a control position to begin handcuffing and initial physical searching. He will continue to maintain command of the situation until suspects are ready for transport. Handcuffing will be in a right-to-left sequence. Utilizing this procedure, the suspects cannot see what is happening. This is another factor in keeping a suspect physically and psychologically off balance. Notice the arresting officer cuffs the hands behind the back. Always handcuff a suspect behind the back, never in front where he or she can manipulate their hands. When cuffing, also make sure the cuffs are double locked. After handcuffing, the arresting officer makes a cursory check for weapons. Though a more thorough search will be made before the suspect is placed in the patrol unit for transportation, this initial search must be made. Notice the search pays off, as handguns are found. Note also that the arresting officer places the found weapons in his waistband, where he can keep control of the weapon, plus maintaining the chain of evidence. Note how the officer maintains physical control. Each suspect is searched again. This is most important. Too many officers have been killed by a suspect who is thought to be clean. Using established procedures, the apprehension is completed with a minimum of danger. 4 felony suspects have been arrested by a single, well-trained officer using sound techniques and a team approach. Let's look back at the operation and stress the vital factors. The officers utilized every advantage possible, both physical and psychological. They were cool. They did not rush headlong into the situation. They did not play hero. Too many brave but foolish and untrained officers have died by exposing themselves unnecessarily. Remember these points. Be prepared. The suspects have done their homework and are prepared. Are you? Approach a potentially dangerous situation with extreme caution. Observe, diagnose, and plan. Plan your action, and when possible, develop pre-planning so that preliminaries are reflexive actions on your part when rolling on a particular felony call. Always park your vehicle so it offers the most protection and concealment for yourself. When possible, utilize your shotgun. It is a far better weapon than your handgun for most situations, both ballistically and psychologically. Remember your radio. It is your lifeline to your station and supporting units. Note how the arresting officer utilizes the cuffs of the backup officers. Learn to work as a team in backup situations. Never take anything for granted. Always search a suspect thoroughly. With proper and frequent training, the odds in the street against the individual officer can be narrowed, but it depends on the department, and above all, it depends on you, the individual officer. This officer survived because he knew his job and performed it well. He can go home with a deserved feeling of accomplishment in knowing he has again served and protected his community.